So this is your host Steve from the back, as always. Um, and I'm speaking in basically what I wanted to speak on is it's a kind of like a cryptid rant, but it's not just a cryptid rant. This rant is a spiritual rant at the same time because just like some other channels do, on this channel when I talk about spirituality, obviously I talk about cryptids and I talk about the whole idea about things that people don't really understand. Obviously, I talk about that because it all is connected. So what I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit, which is odd, is I kind of wanted to talk about how a lot of people have this misconception, and I guess kind of what sparked me to think about this is I was having a conversation with like about two people at the same time today, and the subject of animals came up, and someone, I guess, they had maybe thought that something about like Satanist, or me. I particularly, I believe in a lot of the concepts of the Satanic Bible, and I pretty much do abide by those concepts because to me they make perfect sense, and there's nothing inherently like wild, outlandish, or weird about them. Honestly, they're kind of like common sense things. Like, this is common sense knowledge, or should be common sense knowledge to most people. Um, so this shit is not. It shouldn't be like a big deal. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say this is shit that should not be a surprise to you. It should be kind of common sense if you were to research the shit I'm talking about the Satanic Bible. But also wanted to talk about now. There's this misconception, and this misconception, this common misconception that demons in themselves are these like chaotic entities that have these like negative undesirable qualities that are just these like chaotic destructive qualities and things that are kind of senseless and just senselessly destroy, and it just doesn't seem to make sense to us, and it's just pure evil because it's that is total horseshit. That's really what I'm trying to explain in this. I'm going to talk about some other stuff, but possibly. But the first thing I want to talk about is how that actually, to be honest with you, when you actually research anything about any real demon, or you actually attempt, right? If you attempt to make contact with a specific demon, or maybe you even have someone do some type of work with a demon, and now you know that there's a influence in your life because of this demon or demons or whatever, and you see things happen, you see things change, you actually see stuff start to happen, and you realize that um you're being guided and you're being led by a certain force or forces wherever, and you're seeing
Okay,
stuff
so
happen. um so this is your host Steve from the back, as always. um and I'm speaking in basically what I wanted to speak on is it's a kind of like a cryptid rant, but it's not just a cryptid rant. this rant is a spiritual rant at the same time, because just like some other channels do, on this channel, when I talk about spirituality, obviously I talk about cryptids and I talk about the whole idea about things that people don't really understand. Obviously, I talk about that because it all is connected. So what I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit, which is odd, is I kind of wanted to talk about how, a lot of people have this misconception, and I guess kind of what sparked me to think about this is I was having a conversation with like about two people at the same time today, and the subject of animals came up, and someone, I guess, they had maybe thought that something about like Satanist, or me, I particularly, I believe in a lot of the concepts of the Satanic Bible, and I pretty much do abide by those concepts, because to me they make perfect sense, and there's nothing inherently like wild, outlandish, or weird about them. Honestly, they're kind of like common sense things. Like, this is common sense knowledge, or should be common sense knowledge to most people. Um, so this shit is not. It shouldn't be like a big deal. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say this is shit that should not be a surprise to you. It should be kind of common sense if you were to research the shit I'm talking about the Satanic Bible. But I also wanted to talk about now. There's this misconception, and this common misconception, that demons in themselves are these like chaotic entities that have these like negative undesirable qualities, that are just these like chaotic destructive qualities and things that are kind of senseless and just senselessly destroy, and it just doesn't seem to make sense to us, and it's just pure evil, because it's that is total horseshit. That's really what I'm trying to explain in this. I'm going to talk about some other stuff, but possibly. But the first thing I want to talk about is how that actually, to be honest with you, when you actually research anything about any real demon, or you actually attempt, right? If you attempt to make contact with a specific demon, or maybe you even have someone do some type of work with a demon, and now you know that there's a influence in your life because of this demon or demons or whatever, and you see things happen, you see things change, you actually see stuff start to happen, and you realize that you're being guided and you're being led by a certain force or forces or whatever, and you're seeing stuff happen. Um, my thing is this, man. My thing is this. It's that you quickly learn, and I'm being real. I'm keeping it 100% real, and no bullshit. You quickly learn that half of the shit people tell you is bullshit. Like, half of the stuff that you see in movies is nonsense. Half of the stuff that a church will teach you, that Christians say with their perspective, is complete nonsense, and it's so far from the truth that it's astronomically different than what you'd imagine. So I'll give you examples, right? So, like, let's say you're working with a demonic king, right? Someone would automatically think, because something is so-called demonic, like I said, they think it's going to be harmful, they think it's going to be chaotic, they think it's going to be negative, they think it's going to destroy something, they think it's going to harm you in some way, deteriorate something, not add to your life, teach you something that's useless, deceive you in some type of way, use you in some type of way. These are things that commonly ignorant human beings, humans think. Ignorant humans think these type of things. The majority of human beings think this. Media pushes this. People tend to believe these things because they've seen it in media and they've seen it depicted in movies and books and all this type of shit. Even some people have claimed to know these things, and like I said, either they're lying straight through their teeth, or their perspective of everything is just totally fucked up, and they really don't know how to differentiate the truth from what is actually happening. It has to be one of those, because, and I'm saying this from my experience, and people who are really seasoned that have talked about these things, and I'm also speaking from my personal experience, what I've experienced over some years. I've experienced that, like, the only way I can put it is this. It's gonna sound cheesy and it's gonna sound like something you would not expect, but this is what I have honestly learned. A demon's mind and a demon's nature truly is the nature of a king. I'm going to say that again. A demon's mind and a demon's nature truly is that of a king. They don't. I'll put it like this: they don't think always how you would necessarily think. They don't do things how necessarily you would expect something to be done. They don't take things and have courses of action that necessarily you would even see as an option, or that you maybe would even think, because they have a bigger scope, they have a different scope on things, the way that they see things, and from in their perspective, their literal perspective of things. But it would surprise you, and it even surprised me, I'll be honest, to learn that many demons actually want to improve either the state of the world, the state of a society, the state of a culture. They try. It's like it's weird. It's like they try to strengthen you as a person. They try to teach you, and then they also have ideals that are simply ideals that you wouldn't hear these ideals. What I'm trying to say is, you would hear these ideals coming from another human being that you would think would be a reputable source that has a certain position and is seasoned in a way to know about certain type of dealings. And like I say again, the only people that would know these type of things are people in very, very high positions, kings, queens, and people that are in very high positions that can actually change things, that have a certain amount of knowledge. Certain people, there's only certain people that really even think that big, that only really see the big picture, that really think like that. And demons tend to think that way. They tend to be very, very, very knowledgeable about a lot of things, and it seems almost as if that it almost seems like how do I say this? It seems like they always have a perspective that you just didn't think of. It's like something that you maybe could have been right in front of your face, but you would never be able to pinpoint it, but they automatically have a way of knowing how to just to pinpoint it, and they just know. And it's not a bad thing. And the problem with most people is you're too cowardice, you're too scared. The honest truth is you've been brainwashed and taught too much, that you don't imagine that a demon could actually be a positive being or a positive influence, and you wouldn't imagine that their desires or that their wants, to whatever degree, is something positive, that they actually want to help. But the help they're going to give is going to actually be a positive help, that you just didn't look to them for that source before. because you just, for whatever reason, you did not, you would never imagine they would have a solution to anything positive. You wouldn't think they would be able to solve or have solutions to solve any human problem. You're only fixated on the concept that they want to deceive and destroy and do whatever you think they want to do. But I'm telling you, the truth is, you're you're way off. I'm learning that. I'm learning that like daily, that we are way off in thinking that way. And the problem with that is a very organized religion, very Judeo-Christian concept that has been drilled in the minds of like millions of people. Literally, I have family to where they just don't get it. They'll probably never get it. They'll probably die in their grave and still not really know the real truth. Okay, so I'm just saying this because it is the truth. Okay, I'm finding that it is the truth, man, and I'm just saying it. A lot of people aren't gonna say it, and a lot of people they just haven't put themselves out there to put themselves in so-called harm's way to really understand these things. But it's I'll put it like this: it's doing myself a horrible disservice to not voice about this, to not speak on this, and for me to not speak on this, it's doing a total dishonor to actual demonic kings, to actual gods, to ancient gods. It'd be a horrible. It would almost be an insult, in my opinion, for me not to speak on this. So I have to speak. I have to speak on this. This is not something that you should just hold into yourself. Knowledge that you should just keep to yourself because you're greedy and selfish. You shouldn't be doing that. You should just tell the truth and let people know what the actual, because they're probably not going to listen. But I feel like it's the right thing to just open your mouth and say something. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just telling you the truth. You cannot believe it. You can say that's insane. Well, a lot of things sound insane to a person. I'll put it like this: a lot of things sound insane to you until it's in front of your face. Like you could say, "Oh, I don't believe this. I don't believe that," right? But once it's at your feet, then it tends to start to sink in. So I'm telling you this stuff because it's right for me to tell you. It's not going to change that it's the truth. How much you doubt it isn't going to matter, but it is the truth. So I'm doing what I should be doing, and whatever you choose to do in your life, that's your own choice. Okay, but I'm telling you this, okay, and I'm just saying it. So now that I've really gotten that out of the way, because I've gotten that out of the way, obviously, I'm gonna talk about, like I talked about, I kind of talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again in a different way. So I was talking before about the crawler phenomenon. I was talking about the whole rake phenomenon and everything. And I was simply talking about how not just that, but in general, I was talking about how human the being is. I'm talking about how human these beings are. And I'm speaking on how, like, if people don't understand the similarity to us and them, then you're doing yourself a disservice. It's like if you're looking at it like, oh, this is evil, this is a satanic phenomenon, this is evil, this is an alarm, this is something that should be alarming people. What's this world turning into? This is a nightmare. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. That's what you're completely you're not seeing anything. You're panicking. You're missing the complete point you're supposed to really be getting. Okay, you're missing the whole point off of any of these experiences that people have had. You are grossly missing a point. Okay, what you should be gathering is that these things are very human. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells you that, one, we're not alone in this universe. We're just not alone in this world. We're not. It tells you that there's other beings out there. There's other things out there. So you got to get that straight. automatically. And it's also telling you that how you perceive yourself as a human being and how you perceive the world around you, because you look at yourself like you're so separate from everything else, or you look at like the world like it centers around you, or maybe you might look at it like you don't understand anything else, so you almost deny the existence of something else. You gotta really what when people talk about experiences like these crawler phenomena and rake sightings and all, these phenomena that they experience, these cryptid encounters, you have to realize that it's exposing you to the truth that the world is way bigger than you thought. It's exposing you that to the fact that the realm of possibilities, which you thought, is way bigger than what you really thought it was. So it's kind of like teaching you that you have no fucking clue what this world actually is. Like, you thought you knew, you think you know everything, you're so sure of yourself, but you have no fucking clue. You just have no clue. So you got to take all that in consideration. And then this whole fear shit, it has to be changed. It just has to be changed. Like, people have to evolve. I said this before, and it's the truth. We have evolved. Don't get me wrong. We have evolved a lot. But the thing is, we have to evolve even more. So we have to evolve to like where we're not fearing this stuff anymore. We are now trying to interact with it to learn from it. That's the next step. You're trying to literally interact with these things. You're literally trying to seek these things out. You're trying to see what you can learn from these things, and you're trying to see literally everything you can learn from it. Like, can you learn, is this a hostile thing? Is this is the existence of these things signs of like a hostile takeover or something, maybe, perhaps? Because then in that point you'd have to take that into account, because that's serious. Is this a experimentation? Did we create these things? You have to ask yourself that question as well. Did we create these things? Is this something that we created? What's going on? You know what I mean? Because they're obviously real. There's no obviously, for people who don't know anything about cryptids or cryptozoology, this sounds like nothing to you, but if you know people that know, we already know that these things exist. You've already come in contact with them before. We already know. You already know. So, because you already know so many things that are there, the next step is to start researching and trying to understand these things. And trying to understand, like, the world isn't what you thought it was. It's going to inevitably change. Things are going to inevitably evolve like they always do. And it's our job to learn and explore, and it's our job to evolve as people and evolve as human beings. So we're not frozen in fear. So we're like actually, coming from a place of soundness, from a place of calm, from a place of understanding, and then you also have to have an expectation that you're going to learn something. Not just you're not overwhelmed by emotion or overwhelmed by fear or whatever. So, I think I'm going to put up a couple of pictures in this rant, like a slideshow almost, not a slideshow, but just a couple of pictures or something, so someone can kind of get an idea. And this is going to lead into what I'm about to start talking about right now. So someone can get a kind of idea in their head about this is real stuff. Like, and you need to really understand that, like I said before, if something is so human, then what does that mean for you? You know what I mean? If something is so human, then what does that mean for you? You know what I mean? You have to look at yourself and say, like, what's really the big picture then? Because people think they're the center of the universe, and they're not. You're not. I'll say it. It can sound mean, and I am mean. Look here, motherfucker. You're not. You are not the center of the universe. You are not so intelligent, and you're not so special. I mean, sorry. Sorry. Not sorry, sorry. It's the truth. So, you're just gonna have to deal with it. It's the truth. Okay? So, there's this person to where, and I don't know if they're actually 100% telling the truth, but they claim that they used to be into very deeply into the whole voodoo thing. Okay, they were clearly deeply into the whole voodoo, voodoo, hoodoo, whatever you want to call it, whatever. Okay, whatever you. There's a bunch of names people call it, but obviously there's differences between all of that. Okay, but I'm not even going to go into any of that because that's not really the focus of this. The focus is, so it made me think because this guy was talking about like certain spirits that he encountered, right? Certain spirits or beings that he encountered, and he was talking about one that I think he called it. It was called a waster spirit, and basically, when this spirit was sent on someone, or just it was there with him, or it would be there with you, and you could clearly visibly see this thing in the room with you, and he's saying this thing looked like its feet it looked like its feet were broken because it's literally dragging its feet. It's walking across the room, but it's not making eye contact with you. It has two eyes, it has a nose, it has a face, but it's not a person per se. It's pale. It's not paying you any attention. You get the vibe that you're nothing to it. It doesn't want to look at you. It doesn't. You're to him. You're nothing. It doesn't look at you. But it's in the room. It's there. It's there for a reason. But it's not gonna talk to you. It's just gonna sit there and kind of glare at you very coldly. And I'm thinking like I said, man, there's so many things in this world that it's hard for us to really understand or explain. There's beings that they don't seem to make sense, but they exist. They're real. I don't know, like the reason why they're here or whatever. But the whole point is, when you get an idea of something like that, you got to realize it comes from somewhere. It's an intelligence. It's a being. It's a form of life. It came from somewhere. I don't know where. But the point is, just like you and me, it is. And it's there. Okay? It's there. It's there. It's there for a reason. I don't know, in that case, it's there for a bad reason, because it's supposedly the spirit like that is supposed to torment people until they waste away and they're consumed by fear and yada yada and so on and so forth. And it's just a cold, soulless seeming entity that just, torments and drains people, completely. And that's pretty much its job, and that's why it's called forth to do that. But the whole thing is that you gotta understand, it came from somewhere. It's an intelligence of some sort. It's a being of some sort. It's coming from somewhere. The whole thing is that, like I said, you gotta realize, there's so much in this world that you don't understand. Yes, there are things that are terrifying and negative and have no goodwill towards any person. But there's even still logic and reason in that. There's a balance. There has to be a balance in this world. You know what I mean? There's balancing forces and there's a balancing factor. And, there's things that it's hard for us to wrap our heads around. But, when I go on a rant like this talking about, different spirituality and different beings and stuff, and how as a person you have to just learn to accept the existence of certain things, and then you can only move on. You have to just accept it, move on, and try to learn from it what is good that you could learn from it from just the acknowledgement that something exists that maybe some people just refuse to believe even exists. Like they just don't want to believe it. But um, the whole thing is this. The whole thing I'm trying to get across is it's not so easy to swallow the so-called truth, but it is true. So I just look at it like we just might as well accept it because it is what it is. You know, you just gotta accept the truth. The truth is the truth, and it is what it is, man. And I'm gonna go back to the point I hit on again in the beginning of this rant is that, like I said about demons, it's like how in the I really don't. This is something I understand it, but I really don't understand a lot about it. I don't think any modern person does. How do you take something that actually helps, that actually was meant to really, no, I wouldn't say meant, but what that has the potential and possibility to improve, to strengthen a community, a society, a world, even a culture. Just like picture this. Picture that if your streets were safer at night, right? How would that be a bad thing? If your streets were safer at night, if people had more wherewithal, if people understood how to do things in a different way, if people had certain type of mental strengths, physical strengths, if people had certain type of attributes that they could use to put into making things better, how is that a negative thing? See, I look at it like this. I almost look at it like, someone can take a positive figure or force or whatever and turn it to where they try to make it look bad because, number one, they really want that power for themselves if they can even acquire it. Number two, they want to give you something that will keep you just simply enslaved and keep you weak and keep you down and teach you nonsense and cripple you spiritually, physically, and every other way. And then at the same time, they try to teach you that what is actually going to make you strong, what is actually going to help you and teach you something you need to learn, they're going to make it sound like it's horrifying, it's scary, they're going to try to scare you away from it. And that's what's happened with this whole thing. So, I'm sorry, you can laugh at me, you can judge me, you can say, oh, ha ha, he's crazy, blah blah. You can say all that bullshit that you want. But I'm going to tell you the truth and I'm just going to say it. Like, this whole thing about, like, what's demonic, what is satanic, what is this, what is that, and then you actually believe that your Christianity and or very modern, not modern, I mean, you're very mainstream, that's what I'm looking for, mainstream religions and stuff, is actually has half the ounce of truth in it that what I'm talking about does. You are out of your fucking mind. I'm just saying that. I'm sorry. I know that is shattering to some people's worlds. Not even, because some people, they're so sure of themselves that, like I said, they're going to die with a smile on their face thinking whatever they think and they believe. So I'm just saying this, and I'm not mincing any words, because I'll put it like this. I'll put it like this. It's such a fucking shame and a dishonor that people actually believe the backwards, they believe so backwards that you don't deserve, I'm sorry, but I'm keeping it real, you don't deserve for me to be any nicer. Matter of fact, I'm being nicer than I ever could be on a subject like that. I'm being nicer than I should be. But I'm just going to say it again. If you're believing, and I'm saying this because who knows, there could be someone out there who actually will believe the truth and they'll actually help themselves, and maybe I'm just the person that gave them the push because I put a thought in their head. I gave them that push so that they actually would really help themselves, and then they could actually start to go through a healing process and actually put themselves in a better spot to where they can, like, grow a little bit, or at least have the potential to grow and help themselves and possibly find some type of happiness and understanding, because they listened to the truth, but the truth that they listened to was what I'm telling you, and it was something that would scare most people, but because they're a brave few type of people, a brave few type of person is always going to find what they should find, you know. And then the dumb motherfuckers and the fucking cowards and the weaklings are never going to find anything because you're just too weak, you're too cowardice, and you're just dumb. So nature kind of weeds people like you out anyway, or if at most you just never learn anything, and like I said, you die stupid. That sounds harsh, but it's the fucking truth. So I have to say it like that because it pisses me off, because lies and bullshit always makes me get angry. It always pisses me off, because it's like everyone's like, oh, that's sweet, and you know, you're all smiles and you're all this and you're all that, and it's like, do you even know how fucking stupid all this shit is? Like, do you even know how stupid your fucking little religion is? Your little fucking your little church service, and then your tent service, and then your fucking Bible study service, and it's like you don't even fucking know that you are slaves. You're literal fucking slaves, literally. Just fucking yourself over, not even knowing it. So I'm just saying it. I just had to say it. You know, I just had to say it. And this video is for real motherfuckers who are past all that bullshit. You know, or you're on the fence and you're leaning towards the truth, and you know that your shit is bullshit already. You already know you're full of shit. So, you know, that's where I'm going to leave the rant. Actually, I'm cutting it there. You know, this has been your host, Steve from the back. Like always, I appreciate every comment, every subscriber, whatever. You know, everyone that actually would listen to this type of rant, that would even give this video a chance or whatever. I appreciate it. I'm trying to grow this channel, and you know, I want to be a person that actually, if I do anything for this world, I want to bring some truth out in the open, because everyone believes such bullshit. It's like people just walk around believing nonsense, you know, and it's just stupid. It's I don't like it. It doesn't sit well with me. I'm not a person that is obsessed with greed. I'm not obsessed with money. I would like to live better. I would like to be more comfortable. I would like to have a fulfilling life. I would like to have a life full of where my desires are fulfilled. But at the same time, I don't like to see lies, bullshit, and things of that nature just flourish and just run rampant everywhere. Because that's what I see. I see all types of bullshit, and I'm just disgusted by it. And it pisses me off. So this is my way of venting. You know, because I don't like bullshit. I don't like seeing this bullshit just go on and it's just okay. Everyone thinks it's just okay. No, it's not fucking okay. It's not. And honestly, it's ruined many people's lives, and it's continuing to ruin and stunt people's growth and destroy wherever it fucking goes, like it always has. So this is the rant. You know, that's how the way it is. That's my take on it. You could take it or leave it. This is Steve from the back, and have a nice day.